Right, welcome back. And today I thought I should bring you something a little different. This is a Western Digital hard drive, and for some reason the port got ripped out. I decided to open it, and this is how the port looks like. Now I'm going to pick this out, but this is sort of like a removable board like that. And I noticed one thing. This ripped out in a way that this anchor points that this thing solders onto to keep it held down so it can sustain the pulling force or pushing force got ripped out. Now that means it's pointless me trying to put back this pot here because it will rip out anytime soon. Now there's a solution here that is a bit basic. Where we designed this, it sort of has a permanent cable coming from it, and as such we've decided to use a USB cable like this, and unfortunately we are going to use it in USB 2.0 mode, because when you look at the solder pads here on the line of the 2.0 port, the two data lines are actually intact, but then when you look at the miscellaneous lines that are supposed to provide for extra power, they are ripped off. So what I'm going to do is take advantage of this. And that being said, there are basically 3 wires inside the USB to pay attention to. The power rails, which are usually coded black and red, negative and positive, and then this is the other end of the port. However, before using that USB, we need to confirm that it actually has all the lines transmitting to the other end. Now this is my multimeter put in diode mode, and when I short it like this, it tells me that this is behaving like a wire and power is reaching the other end. Now what I'm going to do is hold all these terminals together and connect them to this pin, and then test each individually if it is continuous to the outlet right there. But I know this probe doesn't reach there well, so I'm going to use this to sort of extend it for me like that, and then I use the tip of this to test. And so we begin with the first line. That one is continuous, you can hear that beep. I don't know whether you'll be able to see inside. Okay, that one does, that one does. Where is this one also does. Okay, that one does. It's slightly rusty, I'll have to polish that. That means this cable of ours is okay. Now the other worry before we solder it is to restrain it so it doesn't pull out and rips our solder point. So for that, we're going to take advantage of the opening that the port was using to access, and push this wire through, and twist a node around it so it doesn't pull out in case someone suddenly drags our cable. So this will serve that purpose like that. Now on to the next stage, which is soldering, and that is the easier part. If you've watched my soldering video, that I'll leave a link there, so you get to know what's happening here. And so now I'm going to begin by applying some flux to that. Where is the flux? Okay, it is here. So in case you're wondering what the flux is for, please do watch the video I did on soldering, and you'll see why it is helpful during the soldering process. Now I pick my piece of soldering wire, but because I want to easily be able to work with this, let me pick it out of that. So I'm just going to reapply some fresh solder at the points where we're going to be soldering, like that. So now you may be wondering, what is the color coding here? You will have to establish two things. Which one is the ground pin? Once you get the ground pin, the extreme pin on the alternative end becomes the positive pin, and then when you have the positive pin, the intermediate pin nearest to the positive pin is the data line, positive. In this case we use the white line, and then the one just next to that is the green one. Now, because we are going to do some precision soldering, I'm going to have to trim these ends a bit short, just enough to solder to the point we want without dangling away to stray points. Okay. Now you might be asking me, how do I establish the ground? Now usually the ground line tends to connect to this outer metal, so we're going to look for a terminal that is sort of in connection with the ground pin. So when you look at this part, it was soldered to this, but when you follow that green line, it comes to this. So this makes this our ground terminal. Let me zoom in so that you guys can see what's happening. Now, also to prevent this wire stressing me while I'm working, let me try to draw it out, and there runs my soldering wire. But since I already picked some amount of solder and applied at that point, let me just put flux at the terminals of these wires that I need to join to there. Yeah, that is going to make my work much easier. Okay, now for the sake of restraint, I'm going to begin with the ground hard. So I've gone off camera. The ground pin, and that should be doing great. Now that means that is going to be green, the one next to those two. Okay, this is now a test of ability to solder in confined spaces. Will I succeed? I should, because failure is not an option. Let me just zoom out so I don't keep dangling out of view. Wow. Tight. Hope that is intact. Now we come for the white one. Now the worry is soldering the white one without it touching the green one, which may likely make it thingy. Now if I successfully solder the green one, I'm just going to scrape a place far away here so that I can attach the positive, because that pad follows that line. So anywhere along that green line shall do. Now, because this heat is going to be applied to that point, how do I do it without it affecting the nearest that I've already soldered? Okay, let me squeeze that in place. I like to think that is fine. Question is, hasn't it shorted to the next one? Yeah, that's how some of the solderings are quite difficult to perform. Okay. Okay. This is going to seem harder than it appears. What do I do? I need to bring up a new trick up my sleeve. They have shorted out. Have I successfully separated it? Have I? Okay, let me do the plan B, because I've noticed these strands keep unraveling, so I'm going to have to first peel off a piece and then twist them so that they don't unravel. Yeah, at times when things are too confined, soldering becomes a tricky situation. So I'm going to first twist it around itself so it doesn't keep unraveling as I apply the hot soldering iron to it. Okay, apply flux. Then come and tin where we soldering wire. I had hoped this was going to be a quick in and out, but stick with me if you want to watch me suffer with this to the end and to the conclusion of the repair. Okay. Right now we again trim off the extra length. Watcha. Soldering gun wants to burn my mic. Right. So chop that. Chop that. So we attempt again. But I think to give me Jesus. My LEDs just burnt me. Let me first detach this. So I only have the data lines to suffer with. Okay. That shall be later on. So flux. Wow. Interesting there and then there. And now, okay. Just wanted some visibility there. So remember the green is what's nearest. Okay. I think that's okay. Now, white is nearest to the positive. We bend that to that side. I'm going to have to trim. For the purpose of handling. Push it there. Why don't I want to share that space? Okay. I think it has attached. I think so. Now, as for the remaining two, one, I'm going to scrape for power here. That's for the positive terminal, and then also ground will be here. Let's just go for right there. Wow, we solder. Okay, so tin those pads. So the green thing is like insulation. Underneath there is a metal, which is the real deal. Drifting off frame. Okay. Alright. Now we next come here. Okay. That's for the ground. So I like to think we are successful. Now the next stage is to plug in and then go and test before we restrain this. Right now this goes in right there. Are we zoomed in? Oh yeah, we were sort of zoomed in. So now we pull this slowly to that point. Question is, will it sit without complaining? I've noticed I'm going to have to peel off some of this to reduce the stiffness here. This has a little freedom. To flex easily without affecting our solder points. Okay. Is that the right orientation? That means that leaves a little room. Okay, plan C. Now instead of, because I noticed this is going to occupy a lot of space that this may not fit, I'm going to be forced to untie that and then just stick this in the inside using super glue to hold it inside the frame, so that when pulled the force is not transmitted to our solder point. Sorry, the video has chosen to be longer than I anticipated, but bear with me. I think maybe this will give you some clues into how repairs are not as ideal as they occur on camera, which are perfectly cut out and cropped out. You get a feel of what we go through. So I'm drawing this in, but since I'm going to glue these parts, let me wipe off the excess flux that has spilled over to it. Hapo wesenza give it some tip. Okay, so I'm going to wipe the areas that are likely to receive super glue. Okay, right. Right. where's the other part of your frame? Where do you put it? The other part. Oh no, this. The part of your frame. But it is not being there.
The bigger part?
Yeah. No, it's not that one. Huh. It's actually under the multimeter. Here they play hide and seek. So we are preferring to first place it in this. Was that the direction? No. This was the orientation. Okay. Now with that orientation, how do we take advantage of this space as a source of anchoring? So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to fold it in there, like that, and then back again. So this already mechanically prevents it from shifting. Okay, but to also be thorough, I'm going to also add some super glue to it to ensure now the other question is, where is super glue? So we're going to push this all the way down there, fold this there, but no, it's not going to pull because this is bending at that point, but also this point has friction. So by the time that force is enough to pull this out, it's unable to take out the solder point. And so we do this, and we're closing it. Now I'm going to plug it into the PC and then test it. No. Let me first test and then show you how I'm doing it. Right. Okay. How is that? So I've plugged it in right there into that PC, which is connected here. Now I'm trying to copy files and they are right there running. So hit the subscribe button if you haven't said subscribe. That's a solution to fix your hard drive that is dead.